If your financial plans aren't going according to plan, this is where you need to start.
Those who struggle with financial plans versus those who don't. What is the difference?
In this video, we'll reveal a super simple process that will take you from overwhelmed and frustrated when it comes to your financial goals to someone who does it much more quickly and easier.
If you don't know us, I'm Larry.
And I'm Hope.
And we're from Under the Median, where every week we bring you videos on practical frugality.
We talk a lot about the importance of having goals, and there's one simple reason for this, because we can tell you all day long how to spend less and save more. But if you don't have a plan for what you're going to do with all that extra money, really what you're getting is half the picture when it comes to frugality and the reasons for frugality.
But there is one thing that's really important. In fact, it's so important that it overshadows having all of those financial goals.
And the answer is systems. Here is a quote from a really fantastic book, and it is called Atomic Habits. Now, James Clear, the author in that book, says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." Now, what does this look like when we discuss it in terms of financial goals? We have a super simple 6-step system that we have used for years, and it will help you not only to clarify your goals, but to make sure that you are also making progress on them. And out of all of these 6 super simple steps, number 6, guys, is the most important. So make sure that you are listening for that step.
So what are systems? I think we kind of need to look at that just a little bit in brief. A system is simply a way to get you from where you're at right now to where you want to be to meet a goal. You have to have some kind of a plan in place that'll get you there.
In short, this system is going to show you the essential tasks that you need to be focusing on every single day in order to reach your financial goals. Step number 1 is you are going to always start with the end in mind. You have to know ultimately where is it that you are heading with that goal in order to make a path from where you're at to where you want to be.
If you think about traveling, you have a goal set in mind that you want to go someplace. Now, let's say we want to go to Denver, Colorado. That's the end place that we have in mind. So what we have to work out is how to get there, how to travel there, and all the nuances that have to do with getting from where we're at right now to Denver, Colorado. That's the same thing that you're going to do with these systems in order to meet your goals.
Step number 2 is to create written goals. And when you create those written goals, you're going to create also a set of action steps that are going to help you to reach that goal. Real briefly, what constitutes a goal? Is it a goal to say, we would like to save more money? Not a goal. No, that is not a written goal that's going to help you make progress. Written goals should always be SMART goals.
A SMART goal is it's several things. It is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So if you have all of those incorporated into your goal, then you've got a very specific, usable thing to shoot for.
And what are action steps? Action steps we always add to goals, because if you just create the goal and you don't have a game plan to get to the goal, it's not a whole lot of help. Those action steps are what are going to keep you moving forward to reach that goal. Action steps, in short, are 4 to 6 steps that you are willing to take in a specified amount of time to help you reach the goal.
How do we use action steps? Well, we use them in our quarterly, monthly, and weekly goals.
But we call our weekly goals the big 3. And we call it that because, first of all, it just sounds way cool to say the big 3. We're setting our big 3. Doesn't that sound very awesome to say? And it also doesn't give us too much information to fit either into our day or into our brains to keep track of that week. 3 seems to be the magical number. It works for us.
Number 3 is that you want to make your goals interlocking. That means one goal is going to be related to another goal. They're not apart from each other. They actually fit together and work together.
We always like to talk about this in terms of a stair-step approach.
Yeah.
When you have quarterly goals, which are also resting on your monthly goals, which are also resting on your weekly goals, that means that you have a set of steps that you're going to climb, and it helps you to continue making forward progress on the goal rather than just setting quarterly goals and setting that list aside and going, well, I hope I make it. Your monthly goals are always going to be related to how you did on your quarterly goals. You're going to set a goal, for instance, for January, February, March, which is the first quarter of the year. Your February goals are always going to be related to what progress did I make in January on that goal?
Yes.
Where did I fall down? What did I achieve? Where did I do really well? You're going to always be analyzing that and making those monthly goals related directly to the quarterly goals.
That way you make adjustments as you need them, because there are certain things that just come up in our finances we can't always plan for.
Now stick with us, because we're going to give you a very specific example that we wrote out that shows you how the quarterly, monthly, and weekly goals do interlock and how they build on one another. But we want to give you just sort of an overall really quick example of how this process works. Right now, we are working on a really fun family goal. And that is that in about a year from now, we are going to take a family trip. We're celebrating our youngest son who will be graduating from high school, and we're all going to go. All 4 of the kids, the spouses, everybody's going to go on this trip. We have a budget. We know the general dates. It'll be in June or July of 2025. We've got it narrowed down to that. So that narrowing down has happened. So it is a SMART goal. We know exactly how much we have to save, and we know who's coming with us. Those are set in stone. What's not set in stone is everything else. So you can see that the goals we're working with right now, those subsets, those action steps we talked about, those are pretty broad right now.
Yeah, there's not a lot of specific things that we've added into this, but as we develop it, we will build those in, and then we'll have more specific goals to add to the list.
So the thing we want you to understand is that the closer you get to a goal, the shorter period of time you're working with, that means the more specific those action steps are. Now, if this is making sense to you, do us a super big favor. Will you tell us in the comments that makes sense? Because it helps us to know if we are describing the process accurately for you and you're understanding what we're saying.
Yes.
That would be super helpful. And while you're leaving a comment, do us another big favor, will you? Hit that big like button, because that lets YouTube know that you're enjoying the content, and they will show this content to others.
Let's look at an example as to exactly what this process looks like.
We just described a yearly goal. Now we're going to give you kind of an example of our quarterly, monthly, and our weekly goals and how those work together. You're going to start out with a worksheet kind of like this. This is our actual financial goal worksheet. This happens to be for the second quarter of the year. We have one for each quarter of the year. I'm going to show you how this works. We generally work on about 3 quarterly goals. Each goal is tied to a specific area of our budget. Now we have enough room on here for 6 goals, but 6 goals we have discovered kind of makes our head explode. We just don't. We don't have enough. It begins to feel for us like kind of an octopus with 8 arms going different directions. I'm like, no, we've tried 4. I think we've done okay with 4.
Yeah.
3 seems to be our absolute sweet spot when it comes to quarterly goal planning.
That's enough to work on.
And so I keep showing you this worksheet. You can get your hands on the worksheets we're going to be showing you in this video. They are available in our Goal Wise, a Frugal Life Planner. It is a workbook, and I'm going to make sure there's a link to it, guys, in the description of the video. So you can do up to 6, but for us, 3 is usually where we top out.
The example that we're going to use for today's video is one on food. Now, Hope put this together, looks like last year, and we discovered what we needed to do with the food budget was to lower it. That was the goal. We wanted to lower it by $50 a month. So she's got a plan. Here are the steps. Analyze overspending in the past 3 months and make a list of problem areas. So this is related to the food. where have we been overspending on food and track those down. Number 2, menu plan around the markdowns. This means that when you go to the store and you find things marked down on sale, you need to plan your menu around those items so you're utilizing the things that you're spending less money on. Number 3, bulk cook twice a month. This is wonderful because this keeps you from eating out. If you have food in the freezer already made, all you have to do is get it out. It's all prepared, warm it up. That's going to save you the temptation of wanting to eat out when you're tired from working all day. Number 4, shop once every 10 days. The less that you spend time in the store, the less you're going to spend money on the items that they have to offer.
Now, the main thing we want you to notice about this form and the action steps underneath of the goal, which was to reduce our food budget in the second quarter to $250 a month. Now, I was doing this for very specific reasons because we had other financial goals which were dependent on me being able to lower the grocery budget. You adapt what we're showing you in the process we're showing you to whatever your personal financial goals are. But what I do want you to see is that each one of those action steps that's underneath that goal are pretty doggone broad. They're not specific at all. They all relate to the food budget, but they're not very, very specific.
Yeah. Let's take a look at monthly goals. Now, remember, Hope mentioned that monthly goals are a reaction to your last month's progress. So you take the figures from last month and you work those into your next month planning.
All right, so I'm going to show you the monthly goal sheet. This was for May of last year, and the goal that we showed you was reflective of the second quarter, which would have been April, May, June. So we've already been through April. This is May, so this is a reaction to exactly what happened in the month of April. You'll notice that the goal says that we're going to spend no more than $160 this month. What the heck happened? I'll tell you what happened. I got a little spendy on our Amish haul, and you're going to see that right underneath there in the action steps. Sometimes my action steps are a reminder to me of what I did that did not work so well. The Amish haul, the April food bill was $370, which clearly is more than what my goal was. All right. So then I'm going to remind myself once again, menu plan. It's like when you repeat a directive, it's like menu plan. Remind yourself what it is that you need to do better around markdowns and sale items. Bulk cook. I actually was doing this. This was my bulk cooking reminder. Okay. Track leftovers better. That is a reaction to the fact that in April,
we're throwing stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. We're throwing out more than we're really comfortable with. Because our stated goal for throwing things out, guys, hold on your hats, has always been 3% or less food waste. Because we're very specific about trying to track what we have on hand and eat it before it goes bad. So we hadn't done as well in April. So you're never going to get everything right, but the next month is your opportunity to sort of right the wrongs from the month before and figure out how to get the ship back on track.
That's the whole purpose behind the monthly goal worksheet, is to make adjustments that will fix things from the previous month.
And you notice that my fifth action step is once again a reminder to me that our weekly CSA box begins in mid-May. Yes, that means that we have a bushel basket of food that is coming to us every single week during the growing season, and it's all prepaid. So it doesn't come out of our budget because we've already accounted for that. That is an example of how your monthly goals are going to support your quarterly goals. So what does it look like when we finally get down to weekly goals? How are they more specific than what we've already talked about?
Let's take a look at weekly goals. Weekly goals are much shorter. They're simpler, they're a little more easy to do, and they're very specific.
It takes Larry and I 10 minutes or less to set our weekly goals. And what do we call them again? We call them the big three. Just because it sounds cool. All right, big three, financial priorities. And one thing I want you to notice that this worksheet is a little bit different than the one that I just showed you, because I like to have a lot of space on my weekly worksheet to take into account that things don't always go according to plan. And so I found myself constantly making changes and adding notes to myself. So I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of space on here to be able to do that. You'll notice that the lines that I use for the big three, they're not very long because I want to be very short and very specific with what I'm asking myself to do. And you'll also notice that the big three financial priorities were all three of the financial areas that we were working on that quarter, which clearly use perishables before they rot. That had to do with the food budget. Check the estimated utility bill. One of our goals that quarter was also to lower our utility bills. We can see our estimated bill on our company website, and it was a little bit higher than I really wanted. So we'd been implementing some things. I wanted to go on and see, are these things working to help lower the estimated bill? And the other thing is, it's a little oopsie on my part. Evaluate first quarter goal success, because clearly second quarter began in April 1st. And this was May 1st when I was making this, and I had not yet evaluated exactly how we had completed the first quarter goals and how that had gone. So I needed to get that done because I was already a third of the way through the second quarter. We always share these things with you guys because we want you to know we don't do everything perfectly.
No,
sometimes
it's
things
a learning process.
slip through the holes, and we're like, we want you guys to know that people are too prone to say, well, I missed that window of opportunity, so I'm just going to have to not evaluate the first quarter at all. No, go ahead, go back. Evaluate how you did. You still got, at this point, I still had 2 months left in the second quarter. There was plenty of time to make adjustments if I needed to.
On the form, Hope left you room to do some daily note taking so you can write some ideas down in order to meet these goals.
Now, just remember that our one of our big threes that week was to more effectively use perishables. So this area in here, I just made it bigger so you'd be able to see it. That area is for me to put daily things that I'm doing to help achieve that goal. So you notice on Monday, I'm taking all the produce that I got in my CSA box on Saturday when I picked it up. I'm making sure I'm using that produce in order from the most perishable to the least perishable items. There's not something on there every day. Notice on Wednesday, it said that I was going to use green leaves. I dehydrated carrot tops. Yes, carrot tops are edible. Did you know that? They're actually really, really good for you. So I took some fresh carrot tops that I had. I put them in the dehydrator, dehydrated them. By the way, I have a 9-tray Excalibur dehydrator, which I absolutely love. I'll leave a link for you guys in case you're interested in it. I'll leave it in the description of this video. But I love this, and I use it all season long. I wanted to make sure if I don't remind myself, this is it, guys. It is training your brain to do what you know you need to do and do it consistently. That's all this is. It reminded me, get those carrot tops in there, get them washed, get them in the dehydrator. Otherwise, they're going to be a slimy mess, and you're going to wind up doing what? Throwing them out, which is the exact opposite of what I want to do, right? So on Wednesday, I made sure those were dehydrated, and I cooked down those beet greens. Thursday, always on Thursdays, we create a perishable food inventory. I wish I could express to you how much of a game changer that has been for us as far as reducing our grocery bill and reducing food waste.
Oh, very definitely.
Just once a week going through and listing all those perishables and then menu planning from the perishables you already have on hand, because by the time Friday comes around, you are tired. You are stopping by some fast food joint on your way home from work because it's Friday. We all do it. Or we're getting a take and bake pizza. We're doing something that is a shortcut. And we're not against occasional shortcuts. Please hear me out. But most of the time when you walk into the store and you're just getting a take and bake pizza, you walk out $75 later with a cartload of stuff that, first of all, you were hungry and everything looked really good. And you have convinced yourself there's no food at home. But if you will do a perishable food inventory on Thursdays, you're going to find out there's a whole lot of food in your house. You didn't realize it.
Hey, just a reminder, if you like the forms in this video that Hope's been talking about, we're going to leave a link in the description of this video for those forms.
Step number 4 is to see each small step as equally important. I'm going to say it again because that is so important. See each small step as equally important. This is where we fake ourselves out, guys. We make a goal and convince ourselves that a step that we are taking that we know in our heart is not in alignment with achieving that goal is okay, because it's just a small step. It's just a small deviation.
Yeah.
It's just a small choice. It won't make any difference, but it
will.
does, and it will. So make sure that each step that you are taking is in alignment with your goals.
Always determine your next step, because you want to know where you're going. So you want to know which step you're going to take after you finish the one that you're on.
If you're uncertain what to do, take a beat. Take a breath. Make sure that the next step is the one that you really want to take. Because sometimes, I can rabbit trail just a little bit. I know that's shocking. I can go, oh, that looks fun. And pretty soon I'm off and Larry's going, wasn't the goal this? I'm like, oh, shoot. So you have to make sure that you're staying on course, because I can get a little bit where I'm looking at other stuff and thinking that looks like a really fun thing to do. And pretty soon I'm way off in left field.
Well, I think we all can. I can do that too. It's not a problem.
This sixth step is probably the most important one we're going to teach you. So we really, really want you to hang in there and listen to this one. This one step is the one that allowed us to reach crazy big financial goals on a low income. Mm-hmm. Never accept no as an answer.
What does that no look like specifically? We're talking about phrases that you might say to yourself or to your spouse, like, this won't work. We can't do this. We'll never reach it.
How about, you can't change? I would never say that to Larry. I mean that for myself. You say it to yourself, convincing yourself that you can't change. This isn't going to work. I just can't change. I've been living life this way for a long time. I just really can't change. And that's not possible. I want to remind you really briefly what James Clear said. He said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your systems must include your self-talk. What are you saying to yourself about those goals and whether you can do it and whether you can reach it? That is so incredibly important.
A lot of reaching goals has to do with what's being said right up here, because that can determine whether you're really going to do it or not.
There are more habits that will help you to be able to reach your financial goals. We just sort of dusted the top level of them in this video. We did a video that talked about a lot more of those habits, and it could prove to be super helpful to you. We're going to leave a link to it right over there. Go take a look. We are talking about a goal, which is, I can't find
Specific?
it. Good God, thank you.
Right here.
Oh, I couldn't find it.
I know.
I couldn't find it.
I was looking for it. I found it.